Hey there, welcome back to the Commerce Chronicles podcast. This is conversation 3 now, and I am the host, the sole host right now. My name is KV. I am the founder of LaunchX Digital, which is a marketing / growth agency for e-com brands, where we help e-com brands double their MRR in 90 days, no bullshit. That's what we do. So, today was an interesting day. It just felt like it went by a little too fast. But today was mostly just behind the laptop, geeking out over the same exact thing. And piggybacking off of the last podcast, what basically happened yesterday was I spoke to one of my appointment setters, and he brought up a very good point. And I decided to change up the whole DM structure, the scripts, the tracking sheets, the whole CRM stuff. I build a whole pipeline or build a whole separate pipeline, do all of that. And that's what I did all of today. I think I had 2 calls today. I got one more appointment setter on board, and I also had a call with someone else who basically had about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago now, had offered to bring me clients via email outreach in exchange for a 12.5% recurring commissions on whatever we make. And our business model isn't that simple because it's a one-time fee, and there's no set recurring retainers for my clients ever. All they pay us on month over month is basically a performance-based thing, right? So if their ad budget is $10,000 and we generate them an extra $50,000, we basically generated them $40,000 in new profit. And hypothetically speaking, let's say we had agreed to a 20% profit sharing type of deal, or basically a performance fee. So what's that? 40% or $50,000 in total purchases, or $50,000 in conversions with $10,000 ad spend, which leaves a $40,000 profit with those ads that we hypothetically managed, and 20% of that would be, if I'm doing my math right, would be about $8,000, right? Yeah. So they basically pay us $8,000 for that month, but they wouldn't have had to pay us anything if, let's say, in this same kind of situation where they're paying us 20%, if they were spending $10,000 on ads and we brought them in with that $10,000 a purchase conversions overall for the month to $11,000, which only leaves a profit of $1,000. They basically wouldn't pay us anything at all, right? So it really depends on how well we perform, and then that's what we get paid on. And so that's basically the deal. So it's very hard for me to structure a deal like that with someone else. But we still talked, and we found something to kind of settle on. But other than that, the whole day was basically just building out new automations and go high level and finding some tweaks and cheat codes, because we're sending looms now, and I still want to somewhat automate that and automate the follow-up. Now, shooting the looms is not automated. That's something that I have to do. I have to get behind that little cam. Oh, it's down there. That little camera down there, and speak, call out their name, call out whatever, speak to them. But the whole follow-up sequence from then on is completely automated, and I wanted to figure out a way where I could also assign the leads to the appointment setters that actually brought in the leads. That way I could keep track of everything and see who's performing best, and be able to get some more help from them to help the other appointment setters. And number two, when a deal does convert over and a prospect becomes a client, what that would help me with is basically finding out who has to be compensated, because all of my appointment setters are brought on a performance only basis. So, for example, hypothetically, let's say we agree on 10%, right? I basically tell them, here are the assets that I have, here are the resources that I have. If you have your own that have been working very well for you, go ahead and use that. That's perfectly fine. You'll basically be a representative of my agency, right? Of the agency. And I was thinking of giving them a title of customer development rep, right? This makes it seem fancier. So I read this in the 48 Laws of Power, I think maybe over a year and a half ago, but I still remember it because I kind of see it everywhere. Robert Greene talks about how Napoleon Hill, or not Napoleon Hill, that's something completely different. Napoleon, the king of France, at the time at least, he was in battle. Him and his armed forces were stupendously outnumbered, and he had this genius idea of using everyone's pride to his power. So he went out and he chose a select few key individuals from his small group of armed forces, and he gave them fancy titles, right? Sergeant this, General this, blah 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 blah. And what's crazy is, I think I could be wrong about this, but the specifics of this, but his forces were basically outnumbered 5-1, something like that. And by giving them those titles, they felt a little bit different. They felt powerful. They felt like they were actually fighting for a cause. That cause being themselves and their pride, and number two, the country. And they were able to win that battle and escape back to their home, which was absolutely mind-boggling, because after that, every job that I had, every place that I went, every hiring board that I saw, it was a stupendously simple job, but the way that they named the title was so fancy, it just made you feel good, It made you feel prideful. They took advantage of your ego, because I remember that I had this job for maybe, 2.5 months, where I would go knocking on doors and setting appointments. What we were basically were door knockers. We were door knocking appointment setters. We weren't even doing sales, right? We were just door knockers. But they made the whole department feel superior. They made them feel good. They made them feel prideful. I don't know if dichotomy is the right word, but they created this frame internally within the company that it's us versus them, right? So the departments, at least where I was, were basically the customer development representatives, the CDRs, and then there were also the what was it? It was also the remodeling consultants, right? Those were the actual salespeople. So it was just like they were able to somehow successfully create this frame of it's us versus them. Let's give them so many leads, so many booked appointments that they can't take it anymore, right? It's kind of like that deal. And also, they were just door knockers, right? We were just door knockers. My department, the CDRs, we were just door knockers. But they called us customer development representatives. They gave us fancy gear. They gave us these cards that says, customer development representative. And they held meetings and specific events for our department that no one else could enter. So it made us feel like a huge team where it was a us versus them mentality the whole way through. And there's people that have been in that department for maybe 4 or 5 years now, and they are very, very bought in. And hey, that's amazing. I'm not calling it bad. I just learned that, and I saw it there even more after I picked it up in the book. And everywhere else after that, I kind of saw that. So I was like, okay, why not take a piece of that and implement it here? Not only am I going to make them feel superior, I'm going to give them access to such things as to where they are superior, right? And I want it to be real. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent, but I guess that's what podcasts are for, right? So I went about creating the follow-up sequence for when a person gives us their first name and an email and their positive reply. And then there's a whole sequence where I send the looms out, a huge follow-up sequence. And then there's also a different one for when they become a warm lead, which means they'll watch the main VSL video. And then it goes on to the book call, and then in that whole sequence, if they cancel or if they don't show up, there's the different sequences for that, and blah 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 blah, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to do there. And so that's basically what I did today. So what I'm excited for tomorrow morning though is I've got 4, I want to make sure I do this right, back to back introduction / onboarding calls for 4 more appointment setters that want to be part of the team. They like what I'm doing. They like what the agency is going towards. And of course, most importantly, which makes sense because they're working on a performance basis, they should be concerned about this, is that I'm paying a solid amount of commission, and my ticket price is much higher than a typical agency is, right? Typical agencies charge lower, but they charge like set fixed monthly fees, and they also make sure to contain the client by making sure they sign the dotted line saying we'll be with you for 6, 9, 12 months. And we don't do that. We basically give our clients full freedom to leave if they ever wanted to. They could walk out, and we're not going to hold them like other agencies have. And that might be a downfall. That might not be. We'll find out. But basically what I'm trying to say here is today I had a similar call with one appointment setter. I've already got 2 appointment setters on the team, so that makes 3. And tomorrow, potentially, I'm going to get 4 more on. So if I'm doing the math right, even if they're kind of, not experienced enough, considering that we're going to be doing outreach Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week, let's hypothetically say that they're doing really bad and you only do 50 outreaches a day times 6. That's 300. That's 300 outreaches per day per person, right? And typically there's about 4 weeks in a month. Times that by 4. So each individual appointment setter at the bare minimum will be doing 1,200 new touch points, new DMs, new outreaches every single month. That's not counting the follow-ups. So if you multiply that by 7, because that's how many appointment setters I'm going to be having, that's 8,400 new touch points every month. Now, if they accomplish what I want them to accomplish, first off, the more they do, the better, because then they'll be able to make a significant amount of money, because the more volume we do, the more data we acquire, the faster we can tweak things to convert better. Therefore, helping them do more outreach with the improved kind of DMs and all that stuff, so that they can make a lot more money. So let's say that they're all able to somehow do 150 DMs a day. That would be 25,200 touch points every single month. And I did the math on this earlier. that would basically mean that I could possibly sign 7 to 14 clients in 1 month if they do that. If they do that. Which is mind-boggling. Of course, that's the more like higher end ballpark of it. But that would be insane. That would be insane. On the conservative side, that would still mean with 8,400 new touch points, with 8,400 new businesses finding out about who we are and our services and what we do, that would still be 5 clients at the end of that whole time period, right? So 6 days a week times 4, 24 days. If they're able to pump out 50 DMs each, which is about 350 altogether, considering it's 7 appointment setters, times 24, that's about 8,400. And I did the math on what I'm predicting, and the conservative forecast, the estimation was 5 signed deals in 1 month. And what that means for me / the business, technically the business, not me, because I'm not going to be taking all of it. What that basically means is, what was it? $52.5 thousand in 1 month in cash collected, in revenue. Not profit, of course, but revenue. Now, that would be truly, truly life-changing, not just for me, but for everyone around me, and especially the appointment setters that are going to be helping me out. But with that, I have to continue building out the funnel. I have to make sure that the emails are properly set and the custom fields and custom values are good to go. That way I can get that launched immediately. Well, I forgot that my DSLR cuts off at 20 minutes and I forgot the outro, probably cut off. So I'm going to do it again. It's been real. I experienced a lot of stuff, and hopefully tomorrow's a more eventful day. And it's not just the same repetitive motions. Hopefully I onboard those 4 brand new appointment setters and altogether have a force of 7 amazing, ambitious appointment setters that are ready to kick shit into high gear. And yeah, it's been another conversation, and I will see you in conversation number 4. Cheers.